Is there a particular quarterback that you've seen in the NFL or college football in the past that you can compare his skills and who he is as a player?
I really thought it was Baker Mayfield. The attitude one. Zach Wilson, he comes off maybe a little bit of an arrogant guy, but I think it's just confidence in his belief of who he can be as a player. And I just think his ability to be able to run, make plays out of the pocket, and just his athleticism. He is a good athlete, but what's been positive development for Zach Wilson in his career is the fact that he understands he can't take hits. That was one thing impressive about his 2020 season that really doesn't get talked about much is the guy, if he ever ran, he was getting out of bounds. He was going to slide. He barely got hit. He had a great offensive line in front of him. He just makes smart decisions. And Baker Mayfield is someone I thought in terms of college careers, they were very similar. I hate to kind of compare to the Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. I know that Zach Wilson studied those guys a ton and he looks up to those type of quarterbacks, but I really like the comparison of Baker Mayfield. I've always believed that for years now and kind of stick with that one. But yeah, Zach Wilson, you could draw a lot of parallels to other quarterbacks because he'll pick from certain quarterbacks what they do in a given week, and then he'll incorporate it into the BYU offense, what they did last season. That was evidence, again, with Aaron Roderick having more control. BYU gets a win at Houston, and they incorporate that flip pass that Patrick Mahomes did with the Chiefs. They use that in a win over Houston this past season. So he's someone that just studies a ton of film and analyzes all those QBs.
Maybe he could be a co-host with Aaron Rodgers on Jeopardy. That would be great. The Zach Wilson of the world with the Aaron Rodgers of the world. Two good-looking guys, one older, one younger, and they could throw a ball back and forth while they're asking questions. That would be great.
And there's some built-in storylines, too. I mean, Zach Wilson was calling out Aaron Rodgers during the season for his lack of swag, and Aaron Rodgers clapped back at him. It was like, hey, I got the swag, like youngster, like, hey, just because I got the long sleeves and the visor, like, doesn't mean I don't have swag. So there's some built-in little bit of rivalry already between those two, so it can work out.
Well, we don't even know where Aaron Rodgers is going to play next year. If all we know, he's playing for the CFL or maybe he's playing for Jeopardy.
So is there a trait, whether it's physical or mental or within his game, his skill set, that stands out more than any other quarterback in this class, and maybe a trait that you think he's already going to be maybe top 10 in right away, even compared to other quarterbacks in the NFL?
I think the velocity that he throws the ball with, if you got a radar gun on his throws, I mean, he's the type of guy that can get in the 60 miles per hour. I mean, the improvement that he's made when he got in touch with John Beck, a former second-round NFL draft pick, former BYU great. That's been huge, too, in Zach Wilson's development as a quarterback. He just throws the ball with great timing, great precision. He's really good, too, in the intermediate throws. He's not a guy that's going to put too much on his throws. His ball placement is great. So I just think that his touch with the football and the velocity, those are some of the things that stand out to me with Zach Wilson. And this preparation, too, as I mentioned earlier, that's going to go a long ways as well. So I think those things stand out above the rest.
Two-parter for me. One, we heard after he got drafted by the Jets that he's never even been to the East Coast before, and now he's going to New York City.
Run, Zach, Jersey, run! Run for your life, Zach!
I'll give him advice. I could tell him all of that. I'd run the hell away. But you're going from a place like Utah, which is, I think, a little more quiet compared to New York City, which is madness 24/7. And that's a big step to go in taking into that. Do you think he'll be able to handle that, one? And two, why was there a reason as to why he was not named the captain? What was the issue with that going on?
Yeah, with the first part, he's got a lot of family that live in the New York area. So I believe he's visited quite a bit in the New York. He's never lived out there. He's always been in the state of Utah, but he's visited quite a bit on the East Coast. So maybe there's some familiarity in that regard. And from Provo and Salt Lake media, there's quite a few outlets that cover BYU sports. I mean, BYU's got a passionate fan base, all consuming, but it's just going to be a different level type of questions asked. He's not going to have a program protecting him. He's got to answer. He's got to step up to the music. And that was one thing that he was willing to do. Anytime there was adversity that faced BYU, he'd step up, get in front of the mic, and answer tough questions if needed. But I think it's going to be a different level, obviously, in New York. And I think that's one thing that I am very curious to see how he does handle that. Just the amount of coverage, really having the weight of a franchise on his shoulder of this magnitude. I just think it's going to be very unique. And I think that's one of the big questions I do have. As far as the captain spot goes, that was a deal where BYU named a bunch of starters at the beginning of fall camp in 2020. And at that time, BYU still hadn't officially named who their starting quarterback was going to be. And it was really just kind of a timing deal. Again, people around the program, they knew Zach was due for a huge bounce back year from what he did in his sophomore season. But until he was officially named the starting quarterback, that's when he officially got the title. And I think it it was an equipment issue in week 1 where they just forgot to put the C on the jersey against Navy. But then in week 2 against Troy, he had that captain C on his jersey. So I think it was just kind of an oversight in regards to an equipment oversight or error. But yeah, he was always the captain. Once he officially got named the starting quarterback for that week 1 game against Navy, he was officially the captain. So it was really just kind of a timing deal, if anything.